Hello everyone. Today I'm going to demonstrate the Spring IOC concept. For that, I opened the IntelliJ IDE and I'm creating the new project. I'm creating the package. So before moving on to the Spring IOC, let me demo. Let me start with a small basic level Java program, and I will slowly move towards the IOC concept. So for that, I'm creating the class Samsung, and in this one, I'm writing the display method. So I want to call this method. So for that, I call this method in the sense I want to test this method, display method. So for that, I'm creating the class, test class. So this is a straightforward, small Java program. So I created the object for the Samsung mobile class, and I called the display method using the reference of the Samsung mobile class. Let me run this program now. Yeah, you can see the method display method in the Samsung mobile class has been invoked. So without creating, I want to go with the other approach. So without creating the object, I want to have a container. I want to have a container, and in that container, I will create the object. And when required, I will pick the object from the container and I will use it. Let me take a simple layman example. So you get a salary. So and instead of you carrying the salary, the money with you every time in your wallet, there are two things. You can carry the money in your wallet every time when you go to the shopping or wherever you go. Just maintain the money in the wallet, and you, whenever you require, you will take the money out of the wallet and use it. So this is one thing, and the other thing is instead of maintaining the money in the wallet, you can place all the money which you got as a salary in the bank, and no need of carrying your wallet or money with you. Whenever needed, you can get the money from the bank and you can use it. So the similarly here, instead of me creating the object and using it, so I will be using the container. In the container, I will place the object. Whenever it's required, I will pick the object from the container and use it. So the similar approach I want to do it. So for that one, I'm commenting this one. So as I said, I will be creating the container. So say, let me draw it. Say this is the container. So in that, I will be creating the object. So in my case, I want to create the Samsung mobile class and use it. So to know which type of object class, which class type of objects I want to use it. So I will, for that I will be uh, creating the configuration file. So I will be mentioning the configuration file, what we call as metadata configuration file. In this file, I will mention the uh, information written relating to the class. So in my case, it is the Samsung mobile class. It is Samsung mobile class, and I need to mention the fully qualified name dot Samsung mobile class, and the reference variable I am using is SM. So I'm using the reference variable as SM, and I will provide this information in the metadata configuration file. So let me call this file as a builds.xml. You can give any name for this configuration file. For myself, I'm giving beans.xml. So whatever the class information you will be providing in this beans.xml, nothing but the bean definition. So what we call this as bean definition, whatever the classes we will be mentioning the beans.xml is nothing but called as a beans, Java beans. And this bean information we will be shape, passing it over to the we'll be passing it over to the container. We'll be passing as a parameter to the container, and it will read the data from the build.xml, and it will create the object for the Samsung mobile class with reference SM. The same thing. Let me so here for that we need to have a uh, container. So nothing but here in our case we are using the Spring libraries to create the container, to create the application context. So here if you see here, there are no Spring related libraries. So I will be copying this Spring dependency, Spring Maven dependency. Here I am adding the dependency. So if it is the first time you are adding the dependency, it will take some time because it will load the libraries, download the libraries from the net, and it will be using it. So now I need to load Maven changes, whatever the changes I have done. So here you can see the Maven dependencies, Maven dependencies or Maven libraries for the Spring. So it's done. Now I need to use the I need to import the necessary libraries. So yeah, it's done. Application context. If you see the application context is the interface, we cannot create the object for the application context. For that, we are using the implementation class path XML application context, and I am providing the parameter as beans.xml. You can give any name, but in my case, I am giving the beans.xml. So here, let me create the beans.xml. So here I'm creating the resources. In this, I will be creating the file beans.xml. So in this beans.xml, as I said just before, as we discussed, we need to provide the information related to the class. So whatever the classes we will be specifying in the beans.xml, uh, we are calling that as a beans, the classes. So nothing but beans, and what the class it is called as bean. So in the bean definition, I'm calling it as class equal to class is Samsung Mobile. So here we need to give the fully qualified name. So including the package name. Okay. And what is the reference variable? SM, right? So nothing but id equal to. So we are done with the basic configuration. So let me run the program and see whether it will be running or not. So it's saying as it's invalid since uh, we are not using the XSDs. So here we can't write whatever we need it. So there is some format which is given by the Spring. So you have followed the format of bean id equal to some other one, some other developer may give some other name or other property. So there is some standard specified by the Spring. So I will be opening that. So I will be copying this XSTs, copying this XST. Specified it. So let me run the program now. No errors now. So here, if you see here, so before adding this XST, let me remove this XST now. And if you see remove, So there are no auto suggestions. Let me add now, and let me remove this. If I type ID, you can see all the auto suggestions because it is referring from the XSDs which we have added over here. So we are able to run the program successfully. So as we discussed, when we provide the beans.xml, it will read the configurations bean definition from the beans.xml, and it will create the objects and it will be maintaining in the container. So, but here, how can we know the objects are created or not in the container? So for that, I will be writing the constructor. So I created the constructor. So let's see. The, as per our understanding, so in the application context, nothing but the container. So it will create the objects based on the beans definition, and it will be maintaining. So let me run my program. You can see the constructor is invoked. So the constructor is invoked. Nothing but the object is created in the application context and it is maintained. So now let me call the, so for this one, now we have, so now we have a container, and in that there is a Samsung mobile class is created and its reference variable is SM. But now I want to use this object. So in this Samsung mobile class, there is a display method present over here, and I want to use this. I want to get this object and use it. To get the object and to use it, I'll be calling the method. I'll be calling the method getBean method. GetBean, and what is the ID we have given? SM. GetBean of SM. Then it will be returning. I will be getting the bean, Samsung bean object, and I can use it. GetBean. So here this getBean will return the object type. So for that I'm casting it to the Samsung mobile class, and I will call the display method over here. Let me run the program now, and you can see the display method in Samsung mobile class is called. So instead of writing this uh, typecasting it, I can do it in another way. So here I will be passing the class you want to cast it. So it internally uh, typecast and it will return the Samsung mobile class. So let me run the program now, and you can see it. So here if you see in the line number 8, so we have created the object developer who are writing the code. So he is creating the object and maintaining it. In the line number 11, so here the same thing, instead of me creating the object, the container we are maintaining the objects in the container and using the objects, getting the objects when and where required and using it. So the only difference from line 8 to 11 is, in line 8 I'm creating the objects, and in line 11 and 12 nothing, but here the container is maintaining the objects. So here the control of creating the object is shifted from developer to the container. So what we call as the inversion of control. So we are achieving this inversion of control using the Spring libraries, nothing but Spring IOC. Welcome back. Just before we have discussed about using the IOC concept, using the Spring framework. So just revising it. So here we are using the SM to get the the SM which we have used ID, the same thing we have used, and we are getting the object. So what if I use SM1? So here this SM1 is not present in the bean definition. And if you see here, we are trying, and the container, the application context, it is created Samsung mobile with the reference of SM, but we are trying to get the SM1, which is not present in the application context. So let's run the program and see what will be the output. So here if you see, no bin named SM1 available. So here if you see the application context, here there is no SM1 is there. So let me change it to SM1 now here. So and run it. So here I have done the change SM1. So now the SM1 is present in the base definition, and based on the reference mentioned in the bin definition. So here in the application context contains the SM1. Now let me rerun the same program again. It's working. I'm able to call it the object. I'm able to get the object and I'm able to use it. So take care. The name, the reference variable we mentioned in the bean definition, and while getting the bean, is it the same or not? And we are going into the next uh, little bit higher concept, higher level of concept. So here, till now we have used just the Samsung mobile class. So now I will create the interface. This interface for this interface, it contains the method display method, and we will be having two implementation classes. One is say Samsung mobile, and the other one is a Nokia, and the other one is the Nokia mobile. I have two implementation for the mobile interface. One is Samsung mobile and Nokia mobile, and I will be using the IOC concept. Let me create the new interface. So I have a display method in this interface, and it's not, it has just a display, and it does not have the implementation of this display method. And this one, let me implements mobile interface. Okay, let me create a new class. So here I have two classes. One is Nokia mobile and Samsung mobile, and both of them implements the display method. So here let me, so in general way, if we see without the IOC concept, just I'm commenting it for a time being. So without this, how we will be writing generally, if we see mobile equal to new Samsung mobile, and we will call it as mobile dot display method, right? So now uh, the display method of mobile Samsung mobile will be called, display method of Samsung mobile will be called. So let me call Nokia mobile. So I'll be calling the, so display method of Nokia mobile is called. The same thing I want to use the inversion of control approach to do this. So for this one, the base.xml, as I said, so let me make it as, for the naming readability, just I'm changing the name as mobile. Here if you see, Now I will comment the mobile uh, interface and change the previous one to the mobile interface class. Let me look into the beans.xml and yeah, for the has in the beans.xml it's the mobile, so I'm changing the reference to the mobile. And so here I am changing it to the mobile interface. So interface is mobile and the implementation class we are getting it from the beans.xml file. So I'm calling the mobile.display method. Display method. So here if we see in the our beans.xml we have mentioned the Samsung mobile. So now the Samsung mobile class display method of Samsung mobile will be called. Okay. Now if I want to call the Nokia mobile display method, so I can change the to Nokia mobile. So just I'm simply changing the class over here instead of changing it in the uh, Java file. So now you can see the Nokia mobile class is called. So this is how we can implement the this mobile interface having the two implementation class. So no need of changing over here. Just we can change it in the uh, beans.xml and we can call the corresponding implementations. So tomorrow some other implementation that came, say some. So let me say some other mobile came. Some ABC mobile has came into the market, for example. Think so. In that case, so there is a mobile ABC mobile implementation, and now what I can do is if I want to call the display method of no need of changing anything over here, just change it in the XML metadata XML file. Just run the class. Now you can see it. ABC mobile display method of ABC method mobile class has been called. So this is how we can use inversion of control. Thanks for watching the demo. Have a nice day.